It's a classic trend, young people flocking to the capital city in search of success. But is it worth it for the cost of living, which is soaring? Well, people living in Seoul certainly earn more money on average. According to newly released government data, the gap between Seoul and the rest of Korea continues to be pronounced, with the per capita personal income of Seoul residents standing at 33.22 million won in 2024, well above the national figure of 27.82 million won. And as for inequality based on where you live, the income gap between Seoul and the bottom region, Jeju-Island, widened from 6.48 million won to 7.61 million won between 2023 and last year. But then the cost of living in Seoul means you have to earn more. Earlier this month, you may have seen that a global survey by Time Out compared the cost of exploring more than 100 cities, based on things like eating out, getting coffee, and just generally going out for fun, and Seoul was ranked the most expensive among all the cities. That survey didn't factor in the cost of housing, but we've also just discovered this year that the increase in apartment rents in Seoul is set to climb above 3% this year for the first time ever on an annual basis. The average is currently 1.48 million won per month, and that's close to a quarter of a four-person household's median income. For those actually able to buy an apartment outright in Seoul, their prices have jumped over 8% during the first 11 months of this year, another record high. Unfortunately, supply is being squeezed, putting even more pressure on the cost of housing going forward, with government regulations being at least partly blamed. Real estate platform Chigbang forecasts that the supply of ready-to-move-in apartments in Seoul next year will fall by 48% despite demand being high. That compares to a nationwide decline of nearly 30%. And according to the Korea Housing Institute, the cost of renting in Seoul will accelerate further next year, rising by 4.7%, ahead of the nationwide projection of 2.8%. With more than half of South Korea's population living in the capital region, which has seen more people coming in than leaving every year since 2017, the Seoul area also accounts for most of the country's gross domestic product, with official data earlier this month showing that young people who moved from provincial areas to the capital region enjoyed an income increase by 23% on average. The trend is showing no signs of reversing, leaving the government now pondering how to breathe economic life into the rest of the nation while addressing the housing supply shortage in Seoul, which seems more and more like its own republic.